Hello and welcome to the online series of St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. Today's 11th lecture and we'll be studying about molding sand. So as we have earlier discussed, in the third unit we are talking about casting. So in casting there are many steps that I have earlier explained. What are the steps that are involved? First was pattern making, then we talked about the material that is used for making pattern, what are the advantages and disadvantages, and what are the applications, what were their materials. I told 5 types of material are used for pattern making. So after we are completed with the pattern, second is that we have to make the mold, and for making the mold, molding sand is used. So as I told earlier that once the pattern is prepared, we use molding shell or cylindrical shell open from both the sides that is used to make the pattern. So that is used to make the mold. So once this mold is made, we remove the pattern with the help of pattern, and we remove the pattern, and then it is ready for casting or pouring the metal. So the material with which the mold is prepared is called molding sand. Today we'll be discussing about this sand, what are the factors, what are the properties that molding sand requires, and then what are the additives and what are the elements, what are the combination constituents of molding sand, and uh, at what places these constituents are used. So we can see we can see uh, in the we can see here this is the flow chart of metal casting system. So as I earlier told, what are the steps involved and how these steps are accommodated. So first of all, I told that before casting we need a pattern, and then when this pattern is made, then we need uh, mold. So for making mold, we these are the steps that are followed for making the mold. So these are the flow chart of metal casting system. So after, you can see pouring, cleaning, shakeout, casting, fettling, cleaning, inspection, then finishing. This is the heat treatment. So this is the flow chart. Metal, ingots and alloys, metals, fuels, flux. They are melt in furnace, and then after making, scrap is also taken there. Then when the pattern, when the mold is ready, the molten metal is poured into it. So for making the mold and course, what we need basic three constituents that are required. First is sand, then another is binder, then additives. Sand is the basic material, is the core material that is used for making mold and course also. So this sand is dry and will not stick together and will not solid shape. So for that, a binder is mixed into that sand, and this binder provides stickiness to the sand, and this way uh, this way uh, wet gum or wet uh, solution or wet combination of sand and binder is made for giving stickiness properties and for making sand wet, so that it is capable of taking any shape. And additives are further made, further mixed into this sand and binder, so that additives provide extra strength to the sand. So these are the additives that are mixed in the sand plus binder plus additives. These three are basically used for making good sand. So then these sand plus binder plus additives are kept into a mixer, and that mixer rotates at high speeds, at uniform speeds, so that there is a uniform paste or uniform gum of sand and binder and additives. When this sand is rotated at high speed and the sand is mixed fully with the binder and additive uniformly, then this sand is used for making molds and pours. So once mold or pours are prepared, they are given uh, drying time, and when solidification time, and after the drying time, when the mold is dry, the metal is poured into it. After that, when the metal is poured, the cooling is provided, the cooling is done, and solidification is done. After that shakeout, we ram or slightly hammer the mold from the outside, so that the part leaves the molding sand, and then the casting is taken out. Once the casting is taken out, the mold is probably useless, because mostly we use single time use mold. So single time use mold, the mold is again mold is made up of sand, and this sand is again utilized, re, re sent to the sand mixer. So sand reclamation is the process in which we take out all the unnecessary, all the molding sand to the sand mixer. We send all the uh, recycle recycling sand to the sand mixer. Then casting is we get the casting, and then this casting, after casting, fettling is done, and fettling is removal of the extra projections, as we have earlier told. Then then this whole part is cleaned and then inspected and then finished, and then it is finished casting. This is the whole process of casting. So today we'll be discussing the sand, properties of sand, what aspects of sand are useful, and the constituents of sand. So mold material, sand casting of metals, as I told. So this is molding sand, constitutes of molding sand. Mold material is one out of which the mold is made. So mold material is should be able to retain its shape till the molten metal is solidified. Because if the molten metal at very high temperature, say around 1500 or 1600 degrees centigrade, is poured into the cavity, and if the mold material, say molding sand, is not capable, is not has not enough strength, it would collapse, and at the same time it must be able to expand, so that the heat and flue gases that are escaping from the molten metal must be accommodated and must be given capillaries, must be given space to to eject. So mold material is one that has enough strength to withstand the temperature. At the same time, it should also accommodate cooling and solidification. So these are the mold material. These are the requirements of basic requirements of mold material. The types of molds: we have permanent molds and we have temporary molds. Then permanent molds are made up of ferrous metals, normally steel and cast iron, etc. So permanent molds are that are dies and they are repetitively used. But the temporary or single-use mold are made up of refractory molds, refractory materials that are basically sands, refractory sands and other resins. So we'll be discussing today about the molding sand. So third are molds are made of wax, plastics, plaster of Paris, carbon, ceramics are also made. But these are used for non-ferrous metals and for metals that have very low melting temperature, and as And these non-ferrous metals also don't provide commercial purposes. They are used for making ornaments and other uh, displays. So these are the other mold materials: wax, plastics, POPs, plaster of Paris, carbon, ceramics, etc. But they are not heavy duty, and they are not normally used for ferrous alloys and ferrous materials. So coming to the mold, permanent mold and temporary mold, the difference: they are employed for casting low melting point materials. Permanent molds, as I told, they are costly. They are employed to produce objects smaller in size. Then we have, they produce casting with better surface finish, quality, good quality, and dimensional accuracy. But the temporary factory molds are used for high melting temperature metals like ferrous metals. They are cheaper. They are employed to produce objects bigger size, any size. In fact, of ferrous metals can be produced by refractory mold materials like molding sand. Another, surface quality and surface finish and dimensional accuracy is not good and very poor. Then properties of molding material, that as we discussed, that it must have it must have enough strength so that it withstands the molding temperature. At the same time, it must provide capillaries to the heat escaping and heat ejected after pouring. Then it must be it must be able to flow, because when the molding sand is made, flowability is another important aspect. So the molding sand must have good flowability, so it would be helpful in making molds. So sand mold should be responsible to different molding processes. Flowability increases as the clay and water content increases. Flowability is the ability to move smoothly in the molding shell. That is flowability. Then it must have good flowability. Then it must have green strength. Green strength means the when it contains moisture, when it contains water contents. So at that time, the strength is known as green strength, whereas dry strength is when the mold is dried, and it contains no moisture content. It contains no water vapors. So at that time, the strength is known as dry strength. So not only it should have good green strength, also it must have good dry strength, so that when the mold is made, it does not break, and after it is dried and molten metal is poured, it also should respond. It also should be able to bear the heat and other parameters of molten metal. At the same time, it must be collapsible, because if it does not have collapsibility, it will not break, and it will use more power to be broken. So the inside casting may get harmed. So it must have good collapsibility, so that all of a sudden it can collapse and it can be broken, so that the internal part or casting is quite intact and comes out clean. So collapsibility is another required property. So dry strength is there. Permeability, as we discussed earlier, permeability is the capillaries that are provided inside the molding sand, so that the heat escapes out uniformly and the casting is not distorted and casting does not get any drawbacks. So this is the hot strength, cold strength, dry strength. Then durability. Durability is also good, because the molding sand is repeatedly recycled, so it must have good durability. Now we'll come to, these are the refractoriness. Refractoriness means it must have withstand the temperature, as we are discussing earlier. Fineness, so the particles are must be smooth and must not be sharp object. Bench life, it must have a good life. So molding sands are the basic molding material that are used, and they are very much used. So molding sands are found in, and their sources are river beds. In the river bottoms the molding sands are there, sea bottoms, lake bottoms, and deserts. These are the four sources of molding sand. In the beneath of the rivers, sea, and lake, the molding sand is found, and this is excavated from the bottom of water bodies. And then deserts, of course, as you know, deserts contain so much sand, so you can take how much sand you require. There is no restriction. So deserts are the bulky source, major source of holding sand. Then types of sands are natural sand, synthetic sand, and loam sand. Natural sand, these sands that are extracted from the natural sources. Synthetic sands that are made in companies, factories, and loam sands. These are the other type of sands that we normally use for making molds. Then ingredients, refractory and sand grains, binders, water, moisture, additives. Sand grains, then these are mixed with binders, then moisture or water is used as uh, sticky material, then additives are used to provide strength to the molding sands. Natural sands, these are the natural sands that contain 5 to 20% binding material, 5 to 8% water vapor. These are natural sands that are excavated from the beds of rivers, lakes, and sea, etc. These are employed for cast iron and non-ferrous metals. Cast iron and non-ferrous metals. So bentonite is synthetic sands. The properties of the sand gets improved and gets properties like synthetic sands. So bentonite is the basic constituent of these sands, cheaper compared to other sands, lesser refractoriness. So natural sands are there. Then synthetic sands. These sands with or without clay, binder, and moisture. Organic material matter is not present in synthetic sand, and formulated sand. So this is the most suitable for mass production and mechanized foundries. So more suitable for mass production and mechanized foundries, we use synthetic sands, and these are certain types of powders of mixture metals along with other organic materials, other synthetic materials. So it may contain sand as well or may not, both binder and moisture. A synthetic sand consists of natural sand with or without clay. So it may have clay, or it may not be without, it may be without clay. So loam sands, these are the uh, clay is basically 50% and more. If loam sands have more than 50% clay, they are known as loam sands, and they are uh, high fine sand. The ingredients of loam sand may be fine sand, clay, fine ground refractories, graphites, and fibrous reinforcements. Other materials are mixed to form the loam sands. Refractory sands, these are the sands: silica sand, magnite, zircon, dolomite, olivine, sillimanite, graphite, carbon. These are the refractory sands. Properties of refractory sands, these are the properties that we have earlier discussed. So they can be molded into intricate shapes, chemically immune, repeatedly, inexpensive, cost effective. These are the properties of refractory sands. Molding sand preparation, composition. These are the base sands, then binder, then moisture, then molding sand. Silica sand 92%, molding sand composition. It contains 92% silica sand, 8% clay or sodium bentonite. Clay it is known as sodium bentonite. 8% sodium bentonite and 4% water of the weight, because this is 100%. 92 plus 8 silica plus clay makes up of 100%, and 4% water is added to it for making it wet. So grain size is fine, specific surface, good amount of binder. So grain size is discussed 0.1 to 1 mm. Normally, the foundry sand possesses the grain size between 0.1 to 1. So this is the sand, two sizes of rounded sand grains. So it, not only these must be round, they must not contain any sharp edges. So that way they will be uh, this way they will have more collapsibility and more strength if they are circular and if they are almost circular features. So this picture is 35 times larger than the original. So this is grain shape. These are the grain shape that we are not going to discuss in detail. Then casting sands. These are the casting sands: silica sand, zircon, olivine, chromite, and aluminum silicates. Then silica sands, natural and synthetic sands. Composition: silica sand, SiO2, silica sand, and FeO, and ilmenite, magnetite, Fe3O4, then olivine, then magnesium, ferrous silicate, that is known as ferrous orthosilicate. These are the compositions of silica sand. Quartz is also uh, important constituent of sands. Then mechanism of expanding quartz. So this was the basic aspect and basic features of sand. So I hope you have got all the clarity about molding sands. And if any questions or queries, you may get in touch with me on phone. My phone is always on, and that is number is 9069 360 400. So for the time being, I am signing off and we'll see you in next lecture. Okay, bye.